I'm confident in this. I know what I bring to the table, right? I am the behind the scenes person, right? I am the operations. I am going to help come up with some of the ideas, but Tiati is the face, the forefront. He's the energy. He is the person that a lot of people are drawn to because of who he is.
Right.
And I was fine with that, right?
The forefront marketer. You were like behind the scenes getting it done.
Absolutely. We would converse together. What is the next step? What is the project? What is the focus? What are we doing? And that took us about 5 years
To figure out.
to get to that point.
All the information you hear on the Mind Your Business Show Network will be for educational purposes. Listen, if your specific situation, make sure you seek your fiduciary, your accountant, your lawyer, or any professional that can speak to your specific needs. If you do have questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments or email us with the email that's in our description. Peace. What's up, YouTube? It's another episode of Minding Your Biz. We back again. 5, I think. Yeah, we in there with 5. So yeah, welcome back.
Right. So I'm Farah B. Collins, the CEO of Tax Dragon Pros, Tax Dragon Plus, CMG Spaces, co-partner in All in One Tax.
Oh, you got a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
Fab Financial, so I wear a lot of hats. But I'm here. I'm your girl, and I'm here at Minding Your Biz to help you keep it together, keep your business at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah. So I am Tariq Collins, aka Dr. Black Wealth, CEO of Eagle Financial Group, chairman of Capital Wealth Management. Right. Leave it like that.
Like here we go.
Yep.
So today, the kind of topic, how we start off, we talked about, different motivation, different things to help you get out of your mind, right, a little bit. And so you could really focus on your business. And some parts of that, we talk about mindset, right? You talked a couple of times about determination, about will, about, going to get things. And so today I want to talk about like self-actualization, like self-assessing, which is super important, right? And I think people are really not honest about where they are. So it's difficult to figure out how they go to the next level. If you don't know where you're starting, how can you navigate where you're going, right? If you don't have a start point, and what I mean by that is, in terms of skill set, right? We could be very practical with the business. Oh, I'm not a good salesman. Oh, I'm not a good marketer. Oh, I'm not a good this. You have to self-assess so you can fill in the pieces. But then you can go a step further with, who am I then? Right? And then it could go to another level of self-actualization, which a lot of gurus and Oprahs go to that higher level of self-actualization. But coming down to a level, just talking about self-assessing, I go into a little bit of the assessment, right? The fight assessment. I've taken it a couple times. E.T., my mentor, has had us take it, and it helped me realize a lot of behaviors and dominant behavior traits that I had that have really helped me get where I am today, and it's helping me propel through what I'm currently facing and going through. So I'm like, well, how do I help other people get to where they want to go and possibly even go through and get to the other side, right, of something that's hindering them? Right. And I think when I look at it, it's self-actualization, self-assessing. You have to be really honest about where you are. And so for a prime example, my daughter struggles with reading. And I had to really come to terms with that. Like, okay, this is a thing. And I had to then bring it to her forefront. Like, we're not going to sweep it under the rug. We're not going to pretend it's not happening. This is a real thing, right? And so I had to self-assess. And last night, we had a real moment, right? Because we never really faced it head on. I'm like, okay, well, you want to read more? mommy said you're not confident in this area. You're getting so much better, you know, because I could be intense.
Right.
I'm like, why you can't? What's the problem? The word is like, come on. I before it's 4 words. What's the rules of the road? It's 2 vowels in the word. Like, I'm intense. The little girl's like,
not on the children.
And so, and she also had a very pleasing character. She wants to do it. She wants to please her mom. You know what I mean? And so I see her kind of like beating her self up a lot. So you're like, you know, Farrah, you gotta like relax. You're too intense, and it's not gonna help her. So that was my first self-assessment, right? I'm too intense. She is not you. But the goal is still, I need to get her to be a better reader. Right. How do we do that in a way that is helpful for both of us? And so first it was me self-assessing me. Okay. You are an adult. Okay.
Right.
You can't put all that on her.
Right.
And you also have to own that she is struggling.
Yeah.
We can't like pretend that it's not a thing. Second, you can't protect her by not addressing it with her. So last night I said, we're reading. I'm looking at her schoolwork. I'm like, dang, we really behind. This girl, this is the workout. It was a word, but like unimaginable.
Oh, wow.
Like, y'all supposed to know this one? Like, it was a huge word. Right? And so my son, no problem. He's looking at the word. He like, like he's breaking it in.
Right. Sounding it out.
Good.
Right.
Like, he's like, he's me. I feel like now.
Right.
But London was me when I was young, when I struggled with confidence and I struggled with reading. Right. So I had to help her, and she cried. She broke down. We both got emotional. And I had to I was like telling her, like, your mom, I struggle with reading. Right? She didn't know that. I never told her that.
Right.
She just looked like, oh, mommy, you got it all together. I said, no, I struggled with reading so much so I failed the 3rd grade. A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
She didn't know that.
Right.
She said, mommy, what? I said, mommy failed the 3rd grade.
Oh, wow. It like took you in different.
And she was like, okay. I said, but you know what mommy had to do? Right? I had to work hard. I had to work really hard. So I could be not only that I had to be on the same level, but I had surpassed.
Right.
Because now
you was like playing catch up.
Oh my God, it was at first it's playing catch up, but once you put in the work, it was off to the race.
Right.
You couldn't stop me from reading. You couldn't stop me from learning. To the point now I'm a sponge. Right. So now I'm a self-proclaimed almost know-it-all. Because I want to know everything. I'm reading this, I'm learning that. You're not gonna hold me back.
Right.
And that's where my son is. Oh, he's going to learn everything. He's already in it. So for her, she had to, and we had to talk. You struggle with reading. And she broke down crying. I said, it's okay. But so did mommy. And so we did a little bit of work last night, forcing her to do some self-assessing. And me just kind of pulling back the curtain a little and letting her know where mommy started.
She got a subject that she likes? That's her favorite subject?
Well, she does really well in art. She does really well in math, even though math is now incorporating with word problems. Like the word problems is, I be like, it's serious.
But that's why I got into it, because so my daughter, she loves math. I think all our kids like hate reading, but she loves math. And so when it comes to reading, and then I think we just in a new world, because I don't think people failing kids no more. It might be a thing, but I would be shocked to see it, because they still like pass them on. Like, so my son will.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if our school was going to like pass her on.
I don't know, but I don't think.
But I don't want that. I don't want them to.
I get that, and that's so. Here's what I say. Like, so when we went to one of the school workshops or whatever, the teacher, my son's teacher, was like, hey, their reading is like below average. But she was like, your son and this other young lady is like the highest performing in the class. And then, so I got to inquire, and I was like, well, what's wrong with what's happening? How you understand that his reading is below average? Well, she was like, well, don't panic because it's all across, what grade? It's second grade. And I was like, what? Right. And then they had reduced like the teachers to submerge, like merge classroom.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if the whole grade level is like below average on reading, like, this is not a problem. Like, you making it, I get that we have to do what we need to do as parents, but then I think it's something deeper than this, that the whole grade level is like
no, for
below
sure.
average.
And because both of them, like London's in second grade, but that was 2 years ago. When you count back, you know, we were in the state of COVID.
Yeah.
And so those were her critical years of phonetics and learning how to break down words. And so I had to own that myself a little bit. Also, what we were internally going through as a family, I felt like I didn't really show up for her as much as I could have
For sure.
in those moments. So I'm like, okay, it's go time, because we don't quit, we don't fail, we work hard.
Right.
Like, this is what we do. You come from strong stock.
Right.
There is nothing easy, and this is your first battle. This is your first test. We know that this is a problem. What we gonna do? What is our next step? And so she was like, okay.
But I think that's my point. Like, so like, it seems like from when you failed out of third grade, and that's so interesting. I think my dad did too. But anyway, when you failed out of third grade, I feel like that was like a power move for you to like come back stronger.
Absolutely.
And well, not necessarily afraid, because that's have anxiety behind.
But that's a real emotion, fear. Like,
I know, but
I have trepidation, or I have some concern.
Right, and mine is the way school systems are today, because I just can't see, I don't see nobody failing kids because of the no child left behind situation. That's been going on for a while.
Right.
So it's like, how do you show a kid that they're failing, yet you're pacifying it and let them continuing on? And it shows up so that's you at an early age.
Yeah.
Change your trajectory till now.
Absolutely.
I can only imagine, you know, and then it translates because it's now our kids. So now we become the adults that pacify. It's okay to just be mediocre. It's okay to be average. It's not okay. It's okay to just try your best to win.
No, absolutely not. Because she said that to me one time. She was like, well, Mommy, I'm trying my best.
Right. I'm like, it's not good enough.
And I said, your best isn't good enough.
Right.
You got to be better.
But then the world may say,
I don't care what the world say, because the world is pacifying you, but they really faking. Because they are going to be your worst critic. They're going to be the most critical, the most judgmental, the most people that will give you no excuses. You can't care what the world says.
So it's almost best to
Now, I'm not saying that's a perfect strategy. Please don't take parental advice from me. But I feel like for me and my daughter,
right,
your best is not good enough. Now, do I want you to try and give 120%?
Right.
That's not good enough, because if your best was where it should be, you shouldn't be struggling.
If your best is at worst at best, we need to fix the best.
That's right. We need to rest. We need to go higher for the best. If your best is here, girl, your best is everybody else's 7.
Listen, and I'll be at the schools tripping out. I be feeling like, am I, you know, like I kind of calm down, because I be like, am I the only one that care about them? Like, why all the kids can't read? I don't understand. So for like my oldest daughter, she likes math. And the way I had to get her into reading was, I'm like, listen, you like math. Most of math is problem solving, critical thinking. You have to be able to read the problem to be able to understand what to figure out, right? So I think if we connect it to what's interesting to them, you know what I mean, that might change the trajectory. But that's such as life. So it's adults that don't even self-assess. Nobody's being honest with nobody no more.
And that's the point. And that brings us back to the self-assessing. Yeah. It's being honest.
Nobody's being honest.
And when we keep kind of like
sugarcoating with yourself,
you got to be honest with you so you can move the needle.
For sure.
So you can move the needle. If you're not honest with you, you're like pacifying you. Yeah. Then you saying, well, I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
And then you're going to keep moving the needle.
Like, you're not good. You're not studying. You whatever business you're doing, you're not giving it your all. You 50% in at 40% in at best. You know why sales is down because you're not selling. But nobody's being honest with themselves. And so if you hear honesty from someone else, it's like a
shock. It's a jarring. You're like, what? Yeah, you thought it was good. Like, that's what, and I also bring into sometimes when you think about what's the guy, like the dating guy who died.
Kevin Samuels.
Kevin Samuels was kind of was popular because he said some things that people needed to hear. Right? Because we're in this, like, now I'm not saying you're supposed to be cruel and intentionally mean and hurtful to people, but if you can't self-assess and you keep figuring out why you're not here. Now, if you're happy where you are, then we're not talking to you. If you're like, no, I'm good at where I am. I'm okay. I'm living the best life of my dreams.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the husband or the marriage you want, you don't have the business you want, you don't have the lifestyle you want, that's where self-assessing comes in. And you have to be honest with you or allow someone in your space to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And not in a way that's going to cripple you, but give you honesty, right? To say, you know what, that's not working. And you probably should think about doing this. And now if you can't receive that, then that's the first step on why you're not farther along, right? But when we constantly keep pushing the goalposts because you can't hold yourself accountable, then that's one of their issues. And I think self-assessing is the thing that allowed me very early on to get to the next level, right? Starting from 3rd grade, there was a issue. My mom was like, girl, we gonna get you a tutor. You done failed the 3rd grade. It is what it is. And I had to walk. I'm from up north. We walked, okay? It wasn't,
no car.
Yeah, it was, my mom had a car, but it was for her to get to work.
Right. You're gonna take
you gonna walk your butt,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It was on these sidewalks. So I walked the 3 blocks to the tutor after school every day. And I remember that feeling, right? That feeling that my other peers were in a different grade than me, right? I remember feeling low, feeling ashamed. And I was like, but my mom said, I get it. Because I was like, Mommy, I don't want to do it. I feel like, everyone's laughing at me. We talked. My mom was like, yep, they are probably laughing at you. They are talking about you. They probably calling you stupid, ain't they? I was like, yep. She was like, okay. They gonna call you stupid, dumb, you failed the 3rd grade. That's not gonna change your reality.
Right.
What changes the reality?
Right.
You
doing the work.
Doing the work. Yeah. So she said you can sit here and not go to the tutor, not get better, and think about what these people calling you. Or you could do the work, go to the tutor, and surpass them, and do better than them. And I said, okay. Okay.
You're right.
And my mom said, plus I already paid for it. So you going anyway.
Oh my God.
I gave you that pep talk, but you gonna walk your butt.
Right. But we have to let you
She definitely had to let me know, like, they gonna talk about you anyway.
Yeah. And I think the best way, like, as we jump into partnerships, I think the best way to have self-awareness or assessment or even a self-check for you to say, well, me, is for a partner or somebody who, is by you on a day-to-day to speak at it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's where I think that we have the misconception of love and partnerships all together. Because if we're cool by any extent of the word, friends, associates, family, loved ones, however you want to, business partners, business interests, mentors to mentees, you're not going to let somebody walk past you, right? Half cocked. Like, no, you need to fix this. No, you're not being a good husband. No, you're not being a good father.
And going into partnerships, the best partnerships work when both people are self-actualized.
For sure.
I know what you bring, and I'm gonna bring the opposite. I'm not gonna step on your toes because that's not what I do.
Right.
But if I don't self-assess,
to know what you're good
to
at,
know what I'm good at, I'm gonna be all in your lane. Right. And then why you doing this or why you doing that? You're not controlling. We don't have divisive lines of order or who's doing what. We're all over the place. I'm coming from firsthand experience.
Yeah.
Okay, because me and my husband are in a partnership, ran a business, and it was difficult.
Right.
It was difficult. When I tell you, listen,
People think it's easy.
it's not.
People think partnership is easy.
First of all,
Just like marriage. And it's a double-double because y'all married and got a business. It's a double whammy out here. Double
listen.
whammy, you two.
But at first, we didn't define it legally as a partnership, and that was the first mistake.
Right.
Okay, it was like, okay, he has the business, I'm gonna help him, and we're gonna like build this thing together. But it wasn't legally framed out at first,
For sure.
right? And so that was the misconception on the first hurdle. Then, after kind of figuring out who I was, right, I knew a little bit of who I was. I was like, okay, at this point in my life, I had more confidence. I've overcome the whole whatever and not read. And I could read you under a bus now.
Right.
Right? All at the same time. It's no problem. It's like, boom. So I'm like, okay, so I know who I am. I'm confident in this. I know what I bring to the table, right? I am the behind the scenes person. Right? I am the operations. I am going to help come up with some of the ideas. But Tiati is the face, the forefront. He's the energy. He is the person that a lot of people are drawn to because of who he is.
Right.
And I was fine with that, right?
The forefront marketer. You were like behind the scenes getting it done.
Absolutely. We would converse together. What is the next step? What is the project? What is the focus? What are we doing? And that took us about 5 years
To figure out.
to get to that point. That wasn't year one.
It'll never be year one.
That wasn't year two. You know what I mean? Because it took us a minute. We're still trying to figure out the business itself and figure out where we fit in each other with that, right? And so I would say for anyone else moving forward, have these conversations from day one, right? This is what why are we even going into partnership?
Right.
You're good at this, I'm good at that, let's come together. I lack this. You have an abundance of that.
Right.
That's why we come together, right? And so that is, to me, almost the foundation of any type of partnership.
For sure.
It is a collection of strengths where the other possibly are weak. Whether you have capital, whether you have credit, whether you are strategic, maybe I'm just a creative, right? That's how people start investing different companies. But you need to understand where you are, what you have to offer so you can fill in the pieces.
And I think people have like that misconception of, so I'm going to break down the legal entities and all that stuff here in a few minutes on partnerships too. But that word could also be translated to just, even if my business entity is not a partnership, but I would partner with somebody, and I think it's based off the perception of how you see people. I will partner with somebody that, listen, I might be the CEO, but I'm really not good at the COO level. So maybe I need to hire somebody in this position. So even though I hire them, I'm partnering with them, but I choose to use that language because now it makes it it makes it collaborative.
Yeah.
It makes the COO feels like he or she has buy-in.
Absolutely.
Right? And we can get into what profit shares look like, right? Or what you call your people. Like most people call their people employees, but when I was studying American Express, they called their employees colleagues. Right? So it makes it feel like I'm a peer.
Yeah.
Right? So we're in this together, a colleague collective in that partnership. So for sure, I mean, I like that. So we're going to go to the board. I'm going to break down the legal entities of partnership, the agreements and all that stuff. We're going to get into the several different kinds.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into some real life examples of partnership going bad so you can go good.
No, for sure. And so our partnership ended up eventually going into a multi-member LLC. We weren't officially, as you go and you start explaining, and we'll have not real, but this is the legal breakdown on how you protect it. But the initial thing, and partnerships are great. The step one of partnership is this. Is conversation and talking about money. How are we going to get paid? Are we taking distribution? Are we salary? talk about it first. Talk about the uncomfortable things. Don't just, are we going to go to the book? We're going to go right and get the LLC. That's how people do.
Yeah.
They avoid the uncomfortable because they don't self-assess.
It's building relationships.
So you have to talk and have a conversation with your husband, with your wife, with whomever you're going to come into a partnership with.
Yeah.
How are we going to get paid?
Yeah.
Don't just like, we're going to get in partnership together. Then nobody knows.
We're going to get paid. How long is it going to take us to get paid? Are we going to make money and reinvest into the company to a certain point?
Yes.
Like what does that look like?
What does that look like, right? Even if, let's say you are a credit money person, right? Okay, well, they get back a higher percentage than you.
Right.
Maybe it will make sense, right? They have more debt in the business, but you have to talk about that. And the self-assessment, to me, is the key.
Yeah.
Having these conversations. So many people don't want to have those conversations up front, especially the money. Yeah. Because after the business is going and rolling, people start to change. They're, well, I don't want to do that anymore. I see this is that. Or have the conversations in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? What that looks like. So we're about to go to the
board.
Go to the board.
All right. So here we go, guys. We at the board and we're talking about partnerships, right? So the first thing you got to realize in a partnership is the fact that all partnerships are not made equal, right? So I'm going to first get into just how you create them from the entity perspective and then from the relationship perspective. So on a partnership, typically what you'll do is you'll go into the Secretary of State of your state, all right? So let's say the Secretary of State of Georgia, and then you'll form a LLC with more than one member. This is the automatic partnership where we'll end up doing a partnership tax return on a form called 1065, but it's an LLC with more than one member at basic level, right?
But what, can I interject for a second?
Sure.
The start of the partnership, though, with these starts to me with the operating agreement. The agreement first are going to lay out what you do legally. Like, I feel like y'all should talk. What we going to?
Oh yeah, I was going into that next.
Oh, okay. I'm
just saying, like, if you so this is an example. Like, if you know out the gate, like me and you are gonna form a business and be in partnership agreement together. This is how we will form it. This is one way. It's multiple ways to get into a partnership. This is one way. Directly with the Secretary of State, we're going to form Mind Your Biz. It's going to be a partnership, more than one member. It's two people. So we got the business entity form, bank account, right, with both members on there. I'm just going to keep it simple with two members, right? With two members. Another way will be just like what you were talking about. So if I already have a business, let's say LLC 1, right? And my LLC is, we're already out here. I started the business on my own. I'm out here making money. I'm doing what it is that I wanted to do, right? We got, let's do a real business. We got Eagle Financial Group. We out here doing taxes, accounting, and tax preparation, right? Tax strategy, right? But then I get to a point where I'm like, listen, I don't want to continue to do this by myself. Oh, let me get with Farah because she has a certain audience or industry or knowledge or capital, right? These are some of the reasons why we would do this together. And I say, hey, let's partner together to see if we can grow this business. You got software, I got the tax knowledge, you got the people, I got the finance. We can come together and lay this thing out, right? So would I go on to the Secretary of State and make a change to the Secretary of State and add her as a member? I could, or I could just lay it out in my operating agreement. So in the previous video, I think our first episode, we broke down each entity and what comes with it. So I'll briefly get into it just real high level. So when you form a LLC or any business entity on a Secretary of State, you're going to automatically get, in this case, we're LLC, you're going to automatically get your articles of organization, But then you have to spell out your operating agreement, and it's exactly what it says is what it means. How do we operate this business in agreement with one another between the entity and the individuals who's the member or the manager of this business?
Yeah.
So in the operating agreement, it's going to be your legal document that now says, remember I said I already started Eagle Financial Group. Now I'm coming to Farah and say, hey, I think it's a good idea that we partner together. You have the audience, I have some capital, you have the knowledge, or I have the knowledge, we both have the knowledge, and you have software. Let us combine our firms and go after more people.
Yeah.
And so then I will make an amendment to my operating agreement, because I will already have one, right? I will already have one, and I will make an amendment to the operating agreement and say, hey, now Farah.
And you would add in, while he's writing that up there, you would add in all the things. If I'm coming in as 20% partner, what is my percentage of ownership? If I'm coming in as 50% owner, how much capital am I bringing? How much credit or debt am I bringing? Hey, I'm getting, $50,000 line of credit. Who is going to handle the taxes? It is your guide.
Right.
Everything that you guys are going to do needs to be in the operating agreement. So there's no issues. It is a legal document, right? Yeah. Except that you're not filing it with the Secretary of State. Yeah. But it's your Bible. It's legal. It's binding between you and the people that are in this. And so anything you start, you should have some type of legal framework so that everybody knows where they're going, right? Because if
it's not in black and white, it ain't never happened. It won't happen. It didn't happen, right? So you could say all day, well, oh no, me and Farah talked about it, and we said no. I said you got 30%, and if we don't have it in paper, signed and sealed, delivered, if something happened with us and we get into a little dispute, it's my word against your word. You be like, no, I have 40%. No, I have 30%.
I said, remember what I said? Remember that text message?
Right. You start finding all kind of stuff, right? So in this business, we say, hey, she got 30% interest, which leaves what? 70% on the table, which I still have the controlling interest in here, right? So partnerships, it gets funny because you need to know the percentages and who has control over what inside the business, what each person can do,
and how do you determine that, right? Because sometimes people think that they're entitled. That's what we're talking about, that self-assessing. Yeah. How do you say that you are entitled to 50% of an already existing business? Yeah. How do you say, well, no, where do you come in percentage? And to me, that's a conversation of self-actualization. If the business has already been formed and running, you can't come into me over 50 unless you are bringing in, I don't even know. If I put in the majority of the work, I laid down the foundation, I am bringing in money. I am a business. And maybe I'm adding in a marketing piece. Yep. Maybe I'm bringing in financial services, or maybe I am bringing in a little capital, right, to help you get to the next level. But is that worth half of somebody's business?
Right.
No, it's not. And I think people need to understand that taking somebody's equity in their business, right, their livelihood, their legacy, when you're coming in 80% of the journey, it's basically already done. You don't have to do the groundwork stuff. You're coming in when the foundation is already laid. We are already at level 7. You want to come in and just turn it up to 10. Yeah. You don't deserve 50% of that. And I think that's that self-assessing on where you think you are to come in. Now, if y'all started it together, right, husband and wife, there is a 50-50 ownership in that, possibly, because you need to determine that as well. Me and my husband have a operating agreement on all of the companies, on who owns what and what is our area of opportunity. What is our area of operation, who does what. So the operating agreement is so important. I can't harp on that enough, really.
Yeah. So then outside of that, it just becomes the basics of what we already talked about in previous episodes, right? Understanding where the money flows. So that's the P&L again, where money's coming in, where it's going out of, right? And from a tax perspective, what this look like is once you do the 1065, that's due on March 15th.
Did y'all hear that? March
15th, or the what's March, or the third month following your calendar year, right? So, but typically most people choose January through December. We're gonna make it easy. March 15th is when the 1065 partnership is. What's gonna happen is we're gonna have income that comes in, and we're gonna say, hey, we had all income. Let's say income was at 200,000. Let's say expenses.
And so everything is going into the joint business operating account, right? So as a partner, you want to be on the account, but you're not using this for your personal piggy bank, okay? This is the account for the business. And so based on your operating agreement, you guys have already discussed compensation and what that looks like. And typically, it definitely looks something like what he's describing up here. But you're going to get your money in two ways, as taking, I want to say contribution, taking a distribution or salary, right? You're not dipping into the pot while money is coming in, because then that, to me, throws off the trust that you have with the partner, right? And so when you talk about partnerships, trust is a big factor. And so you got to stay out of the pot. And how do you stay out the pot? You have to have an operating agreement and talk about how we get paid. I don't care how much money is coming to this account. We decided that nobody is touching this money until after the expenses or after whatever is paid. Then we want to look at how we're going to distribute said funds or said profits on a straight level on how partnerships work. And now, of course, partnerships and adding members is also a way to offset taxes, because you split the burden, right? Depending on at this level of partnerships, right? So the same way single member corporations run, the partnerships go through it as well. So this is on a lower level, 1065, as you go into LLC and going all the way up to even corporations. But
right, so once we start making money, right, we understand how to operationally operate the business. We started making money. Income, we made 200,000. We had 100,000 of expense. Profit is 100,000. That's inside the partnership. Now, I don't recommend you take up. First of all, as a owner, you can't take up payroll out of this, right? And I don't recommend that you do it. You might, depending on your partnership, it might be different from you. But from my experience and talking to a lot of people and consulting with a lot of businesses, this is the best way I feel partnerships should be formed. So what happens is remember we said that Farrah has 30% interest in this company, so that means I kept the other 70%. So out of the profit of 100K, my K1 is going to reflect the 70,000. Hers is going to reflect the 30,000. Now, check this out. If we have payroll in the company, it will be because we hire employees or colleagues to do said thing.
Yeah.
I got tax preparers. I got a COO. We got a whatever, assistant, whoever.
Yeah.
Whoever we hire, that's where the payroll will come out of, and that'll be part of this expenses, right? But for us, as for me and mine, my 70%, her 30%. So remember, we want to always have this up, right? Left side, right side, operational side, asset side. The bottom of this is your trust, who owns everything, right? This trust owns your management company, which is the S Corp. My S Corp has the 70% interest into our partnership, and her S Corp has the 30% interest into our partnership. So once I break this money down, guess where the K1 is going? It's going from the 1065 over to the
1120S
for my S corporation, for my management company that's already an S Corp. Now, why would I do that? Well, for one of the main reasons you would do it will be asset protection. Well, this company stands out on its own. Now, it's owned by two different entities, my management company, her management company. So people looking us up, they're trying to figure out what's what, who's who. You got to still search and find, right? That's one reason, right? Then I got my S corp, and guess what happens with an S corp, which we explained before, right? With the S corp, you get to be able to you have to, as an owner or shareholder in this S corp, be on W-2. So what does this set you up to do? Well, when I made my $70,000, now my W-2 comes from my own management S corp down to my 1040/trust level, right? Because this is a revocable trust, interchangeable with the 1040. So now I can say, hey, well, out of the 70K, let me get, 20,000 on a W-2 for me, right? And I'll hold on to the rest, or she holds on to whatever it is that she wants to do. What does, and in addition to that, what this looks like too is the management company has the ability to now own interest in other things. This is the purpose of partnership.
Now, too, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
Oh, yeah.
The K1, we're just going to go with your side, right? And so each partner's side may look different based on what's happening individually, right? However, and also depending on where you are. So let's say 30 on my side as the 30%, I don't have nothing on this other side over here. All I have, I'm going to get this K1 and I'm going to put it on my 1040 and that's it. Maybe I don't have it because I came in as 30% investor. So my side, each partner side, right, may look very different.
Right. This is not everybody's setup, although I do recommend it, but it's still rules to the S corp as far as holding it as a management company, well, as an S corp. Because the other part of it too is you could have an LLC, and the LLC be your management company, right? Which we already know we're putting that on our 1040 anyway. It doesn't have to be an S corp as a management company, so don't misunderstand me there. You can have an LLC.
The left side is really a high level
operational side,
structuring side to help asset protection, mitigate taxes, right? Because this left side to me is a person who this is not their only source of income, right? They got other stuff going in here to really make this pop off. With the trust, the S corp, they got more assets. So this is not like a step 1 or 2. You have something worth losing, right?
It just depends on I think it just depends on your perception and who you are. Personally, so this looks complicated and looks like it could be for somebody who, and I think that's our misconception. I remember when I started with Northwestern Mutual, I thought that, I'm like, man, you got to have $1 million, $2 million, $10 million.
I think you have to have $1 million
to get trust and all this
stuff
set up.
But people are lazy and they procrastinate and they will do half of this,
all right,
and really don't have the protection or the discipline to follow this plan.
See, that goes back to that self-assessment and awareness of who you are. To play business, you need to play by the rules. I'm giving you the rules, and I have no sympathy for anybody that's lazy. Because what's going to happen here is each one of these entities. So because
they're going to be buying stuff. Listen. So I see the behavior.
Let's see
people they lack discipline. And they don't have the behavior, and so they want to just go ahead on the left side, put it on their 1040 and pay the increased taxes, and then expect the person on this side to save them $1 million, but they didn't pre-plan and do any of the work that could possibly mitigate the taxes.
Right.
Because the reason why I say that is because being in the tax industry for 12 plus years, I see behavior.
We do.
That's not the typical behavior. That is an outlier person who can, forecast, stay committed to a plan.
Typically, this is nobody.
And work it all the way to the end.
And typically, unless you are in the know and have the financial literacy or talk to somebody beforehand or whatever, which is not, let's say it might be 2% of people, even 1% of people. Typically, I'm rearranging people businesses to be in this structure. I'm going to just be honest and clear, right? But I'm trying to teach you guys out the gate how this should look. So if you're trying to get started, this is how it should look. If you are already in the ocean, reassess your depths, right? And figure this thing out. So on her side, she made a good example. she may not have the S corp, and you don't need it for it to be a management company. But I would still recommend you at least have an individual LLC. So now the partnership interest goes from the partnership K1,
Yep.
and it'll be directed toward the LLC, which is still going your 1040. We're still dealing with this left side, and her 30% goes there directly to her, right? Because with the LL, and here's the second reason why you would do it: the taxes.
Yep.
As a partnership, you're still getting taxed the 15.3% self-employment tax on anything you do, right? It doesn't separate you from the tax. Yeah, it's just but your portion, you're gonna get 15.3%.
Yes.
And because it still got to flow down to somebody, right?
Yes.
So, but if this goes from a partnership to a S corp, now I avoided the 15.3%.
Absolutely.
Now I got the W-2.
Absolutely.
Now my tax burden is less, right? And we're coming in this from a smart trajectory. If she doesn't have nothing else going on, she's going to be subject to the 15.3% at that $30,000 that's going to go from her LLC to her 1040, and she's going to get hit with that 15.3%.
Yep.
Period. Right? So,
now you can also talk about an operating agreement, because I've had this come up with partners and partnerships, which was really crazy, that the partner felt that they shouldn't pay the taxes they felt it should have been a business expense. And I had to help them understand, because they were like, well, the taxes, I made this money, but the taxes I had to pay, that's a business expense. I was like, no, you owe that. The company made money. You have to pay tax on money you made. And so they went into the operating agreement, and the other partner was like, we will help you with a part of the taxes, but we want back a percentage of your equity.
I think it's all in there, but that's the importance
of the operating agreement, because the partner didn't understand that money earned, I'm gonna have to pay that
for sure.
You know what I mean?
And I think it speaks to the different types of partnerships you can have. Because let's just say on average at best, most people get in a partnership unaveragely. But let's just say an average person at best, typically in your financial statement, we're going to have income, expenses, profit. Right after profit is going to be, you're going to calculate how much tax you will pay in here, and that will eat up your profits. So your profits will be your profits minus taxes, right? In a perfect world, that's how you probably will want to structure it, but depends on the partnership and how you get into this. Like I said, I was already in this thing, and then we brought Farrah on at 30%, then I might not include that in our agreement and our partnership. So now you're responsible for the taxes, the gain and or the loss.
Yeah.
Right. So these are the typical ways that you will see a partnership. Now I'm gonna jump into two more ways that you will see it before we get into our case scenario on partnerships going good to bad. So we good on this, right? So what happens now is we got a partnership that the other language in the partnership, this is horrible, is the other language in a partnership is understanding the types of partners that you have. Typically, there are two types of partners. You have a general partner
and a limited partner.
And a limited partner. And a limited partner. These are the two types of partners that you would have. Now, if I just go into a handshake agreement with Farrah and we shake our hand on the deal and say, boom, we in business together, legally we have formed a partnership. And we're both general partners at 50% interest on both sides of it, and we're wide open. So if she does something, and let's just say, I hate using scenarios like this. Let's just say, God forbid, something happened and somebody sue the company or her, or she goes out and do whatever, right? Somebody hit her, she do something, they sue her, right?
I was drunk driving.
Right. In the general partnership.
Not that I drink, but.
In the general partnership, I could be liable for her faults and damages, and I wasn't even there or a part of whatever it is that she did, right? That's where general partnerships come in. That's why you want to really typically avoid them, because they have no asset protection in them. It's almost just like a sole proprietor. In that aspect, they work the same way. Now, let's just say we formed an entity in the Cope State, Wyoming, or Nevada or something like that. Then we have different rules. Now, limited partners. Here's the two scenarios limited partners work best. On the limited partner, this is a tax strategy for all my high income earners. My high income earners, like, listen, I make $500,000 plus a year at my job. I don't really have the time to own a business or want to work a business. I like what I do, right? I like being a C-suite executive, or I like being the engineer or the doctor, whatever that looks like. Well, what you would do is you would go in business in a different format. Your business structure will still look the same. 1040 trust, right? We will form an LLC. And in this LLC, your LLC company will act as an investment company. And so what you would do is I will give up money to said partnership for interest in the business. So let's just say just like Shark Tank. Let's just say I give up, I invested
$50,000.
Right, $50,000. This is the scenario. We invested $50,000 for 10% interest in the business.
As a limited partner.
And then you become a limited partner. A lot of times you see limited partners work best in real estate syndicate deals. So what happens is if somebody's raising the money or raising the funds, they'll say, hey, I got $50,000. I need 10% interest in the real estate deal. And they're going after, if we're doing real estate, we're going after big real estate, like
apartment buildings, complexes.
Multifamily, that's right.
Yeah.
We're going after big things. We ain't finna do it in no single family home, fix and flip, right? No. So when you're doing it in this instance, you're going after big deals. So what happens is the general partner will have all control. They dictate what happens. Limited partners have no control. They only control is the money that they put in, and based on how the deal goes, the money that they get, the gains or the losses from the deal. That's how it works.
And they don't want to, because they got their own thing.
Right.
And the general partner is, if we're talking about real estate, they're picking where we're going to do said project, what the look like. We're going to put in modern stuff, or what's the style, who are the subcontractors. Yeah. The limited partner is just there. They just gave their $50,000.
They just want the advantage.
They're trying to do two things: make their money beat inflation. Yeah. Like these people that's investing, right? They already have something else where they're paying their bills. Yeah. They're investing to beat inflation and mitigate tax.
For sure. Like, so let's just say this person makes $700,000 a year on a W-2 job. So just assume, we're going to just assume for all intent and purposes that they're maxed out on everything. They got the 401k, they got the medical, right? They got the life insurance.
All the pre-tax
typically, I think America's family is the size of 4, right? The average family. So they
married, filing joint,
right?
They got the house.
Married, filing joint. They got the home. Right, they're maxed out on all. They got the savings account.
Yes,
they're maxed out on all the things.
The health savings.
So this person is like, well, I like my job. So they got the UTMAs or the
UTMA accounts. No,
right.
Kid.
I forget it.
But college.
But the college fund account.
They got everything.
You're gonna make me figure out what it is. But so this person is like, I like my job. We probably set my kids to go to college, but still I may want to leave something to them, or, I'm still thinking about my retirement. They're growing their retirement, their pension, all that stuff. Right. And what'll happen is they're like, well, how can their tax picture might be a little high, or either your tax picture is high, or they're looking for ownership that they could still pass down because they know they can't pass down their job. So I'm going to put $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 of money that we save specifically for investing into a partnership to say, hey, Farrah, you're the business owner. I want to just give you money and let me get 10% off your company. Maybe either I have a real estate company or maybe I have a private equity company that I do investment deals, and that's how I want to eat. This is another structure. Same stuff. You want the operating agreement. You want everything laid out clear. Your lawyer, their lawyer, all this stuff, so you know what's happening. You know where the money's coming. You get the K1 and the income coming from your tax.
And a lot of times those 10%, 15%, and you'll see that a lot too with like venture capitalists or like tech companies, how they raise money. And then they do like the iShares. So everybody can get a K1 based on their percentage into said company.
Maybe our next video we'll go into that. Because when we talk about, and just a quick sidebar here, right? Most times we talk about everybody having a management company that operate their business. Well, the truth be told is this management company is a private equity company because it acts as your investment company, either into your direct businesses that you own or other businesses that you figure out. So we'll break that down, at another video. So this is a model for this. The other model for this is strictly asset protection for children. Now watch how this works.
And that's when that self-assessment, you have to know where you're going, but you got to figure out where you're starting. Right? And because there's different strategies on how you save and leave something for your children, right? And so strictly for tax purposes, I would say strictly, but this is how you can lay it out in terms of partnerships and giving your children, your wife, your mom, everyone else a percentage of the company, especially if you stay under that standard deduction of $12,000 and they don't have the tax liability to pay, but you are washing and mitigating some of that tax liability.
Yep.
And they getting a piece of the pie, right? So it's not just for taxes, but going forward, let's just say that at 3 years old, the child is making $12,000 every year because mom and dad got something good, and $12,000 is going into their account. And let's say by the time they are 18 years old, 12,000 times 18, we could do the math, but hey, and you put it in the trust fund, you got a real trust fund baby. Now you got something you leaving to your children.
Yeah.
And, where's the calculator? I'm going to be the calculator. Last time you used the calculator. So 12,500 times 18, the child has $225,000, right? That you have put away for them in a trust. So when they become of age, they can pay for college. They can start their own business. They can buy a home. They're not starting where? In the mud, getting it out the mud, struggling and hustling and all that crazy mess that we're so proud to talk about. But you now have something that they have as a trust fund baby. Right. For real.
So we talk about, this is legacy and estate planning. So let me break it down into a company but you might not know all the particular details about it. Chick-fil-A is a privately owned company that's family owned and operated. Every member of the family gets a piece or eats off the Chick-fil-A business, right? And have ownership in it by way of limited partnership. This is how this works for legacy and estate planning or just business planning. They work hand in hand. But everybody don't run the company, right? So there are a few people who run the company. I think when granddad started and dad, now it's the dad's son. I forget the guy's name, but now the dad's son showed himself worthy to run this company, especially with how he matriculated what their culture looked like and how the business grew as they expanded through COVID.
And he made them work. He made them work in the company.
Right. So this is real life example. Right? You can look it up. This is a Chick-fil-A model, right? So it might not be a partnership, but for the sake of this, I'm gonna use it as a partnership. I'm pretty sure it's a corporation, but same thing. Just they got shares. There's more than one shareholder, right? But for the sake of partnership and legacy planning, on my last example here, if mom and dad has 4 kids, we might want to be the general partner, and then we'll have each of the kids be limited partner. What does that do? Number one, it allows them to have business interests and be business owners. They could build business credit, and help them even with their personal credit and savings, right? They have no control over what happens because mom and dad still have general partner interest into this deal. So if I have a bunch of stuff, me and Farrah have a bunch of stuff we want to pass down to our kids, one way of estate planning might be set up a partnership where it's easily to transfer for one of the kids to assume general partnership, or all four of them assume general partnership, and it helps me mitigate the inheritance tax depending on how much money I make, right? The other model would be like the Chick-fil-A model. They have a corporation and their partnerships work in a dynamic where every member of the family owns a piece of the business, but not every member of the family work in the business to see the operations in the business. So what we talked about this morning or earlier was that self-assessment. They knew that they wanted to build generational wealth, but they also knew that everybody's not cut out to be a business.
That's right.
So each person who works in the company has to show themselves worthy or make themselves known that they want to take over the company and show themselves in a leadership position. This is stuff that we, from watching and learning and reading up on Chick-fil-A on how they manage their family. Their family business is one of the most dynamic things I've ever seen. If you ever want to see how a family business is run, I would encourage you to study it. They know down to their, like we're bringing in the 13th generation of child
what they
at their annual meetings, which turns into family meetings where they set directions on where the family is going, where the company is going, where it's going, and welcome the celebration of whoever is married or is with child. So they know like, Farrah's pregnant at this meeting coming up or this reunion coming up. This is our 13th generation about to be born in here, right? And so everybody has a job or position and they show themselves worthy to run the company on that general partnership and have control over the success of Chick-fil-A. So we broke down the legal structures of the model, the entity, how you jump into them, the different plays that you'll go into. I think next will be easy to break down the management company to jump into a private equity on the next video. But we're going to give real life examples of partnerships we experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And just jump in there from there.
No, for sure. So this one will have probably a part 2 as well. So we're going to, because I do get a lot of questions about, husband and wife. How does that work? What is the dynamic? What is the legal structure? Who gets paid? How does that really work behind the scenes? And so we just kind of touched on it because we understand that you need to know you need to know the high level, how it's structured, because this is super important. You need to structure it legally to protect you, but you need to know what to do every day, right? And your operating agreement helps with that. And we talking about the self-assessment because you have to have really uncomfortable conversations, especially in the family dynamic. This is the most difficult, but it has to be done if you're thinking beyond today. If you really are about legacy building and you really want to leave something for your children's children, right, then you have to have conversations that we think are difficult because it has emotion in it, but let's just factually based and talk about how we are dividing responsibility, why you should get 50% and I get 50, why you should deserve 70 and I should deserve 30, who are the areas, why are we even doing this? And I think
don't feed into the narrative of partnerships and more especially family partnerships don't work because they do.
Absolutely, they do. Because Chick-fil-A worked.
It's work.
LA Fitness worked. That was a family business. I don't care what you say about the Trump family. Now they're underwater, but it worked for him. Him, his family, his children. Ivanka had a blah, 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 blah.
And he still got it.
And
what it is I think we have a misconception of relationships. So we need to define. So once you take out, I think this word family makes it more difficult, right? So it's my mom, it's my dad, it's my brother, it's my sister, it's my aunt, it's my uncle. Remove that title from them and say, hey, this is Farrah to Tariq. We're going in business, right? There's no emotional tie to it. Like, well, that's my aunt. I'm going to let her slide on this. I'm not going to say nothing about this. And this is just being understanding how to deal with conflict resolution. But the better way to deal with it is to lay it out black and white. Well, we're going to remove the aunt-nephew scenario out of the picture and say, listen, you got 40%, right? Or 50%, and I got 50%, right? Or 49.5%, 51%, or whatever that looks like, right? And say, hey, this is your duties and responsibility. Here's what you bring to the table. Here's my job description in this thing. I'm going to act as maybe I'll be the vice president and you be the co-vice president. Maybe it's a co-ed CEO situation. Maybe it's you the CEO, I'm the COO. Maybe it's you're the operations person, I help on the back.
And some of it is not getting caught up on the title.
Yeah.
Right? Because I could be like, well, I'm the aunt.
Right.
I'm the aunt. I should deserve 60%. Right?
What qualifies you other than you being the aunt? Right?
Right. Even with my husband, he could be like, well, I'm the husband. Right. I'm the head. You don't deserve 50%.
Right.
Yeah, but what am I bringing to the table to qualify me said percentage?
Yeah. And let's be clear. Partnerships work because everybody, you get something out of it. I'd rather have, what's the scenario?
I'd rather have
50% of the watermelon, 10% of the watermelon than 100% of the grape.
Of the grape.
So outside of the relationship, because it doesn't matter if it's parents, if it's family, or if it's just a stranger on the street. Them deals that happen on Shark Tank every week, those are Mark Cuban and Damon and all the Lori and all of them are going into a partnership interest with the business owner who's going to actually run the business, but they're, guess what? Providing the capital. But underneath that, the relationship got to work. Do I know you? Do I like you? What's your business model? What are your habits, right? I listened to the podcast interview from Damon. He's like, listen, them deals on Shark Tank, we do them, but they might take anywhere from 6 to 9 months to close. Yeah. Because now I find out, oh, you owe the IRS. Yeah. Oh, you got money issues. Yeah. Oh, you this and that. They have to understand the relationship of who they're going in a partner with. Right. So that's how it works.
We're going to be, and it's our aim. And partnerships are great because the ultimate thing of the partnership is because you're pooling resources together. Yeah. The whole idea of more than one. Yeah. Right. It is divine. It's more than one. Right. Because God didn't make just one of something. He brought it in pairs. He made 2 of something at a time.
When you plant one seed, you grow multiple.
Listen.
He said it's not good for man to be alone.
It's working because it's more of us, right? But we got to get the politics out of it. Yeah. Who is what, blah, blah, blah. It works because we don't all have to carry we all can share the load. Yeah. Right? Where I'm weak, you strong. Let's take this thing to the finish line, right? And so if it's one with all the burden on their back, it's going to take that person longer. It's going to take, they're going to need more resources. Yeah. But if it's 5 of us pulling the same load, we can get farther, faster, quicker. Yeah. Right?
And then look at it from
really work.
And look at it from the investment management company. We're going to do a separate video on that. But let's just take the Warren Buffett model. All Warren Buffett do is invest in other companies. He don't run them. He's just he probably the majority shareholder in them with the money. So guess what it does? Their partnership works because his company feeds me as a business owner the money. Then I'm able to go out there and do all the said things necessary to grow my business. And for that, I give him a percentage of my business. And guess what? If you do that over time, listen, if my management company or private equity firm or however you want to classify it, was this business, this business, this business, this business, this business, this business, and I got, let's say 15%, 10%, 5%, 20%, 30%, 5%, right? You add all that up, you're making some money. And I don't have no operational costs associated with this business. Listen, my tax burden is super low.
I just want to put this out here. If anybody want a percentage of my business, and you come in and
everything for sale. Look,
it's for sale. You got something that can make it better, and I got you. Let's talk. Yeah. Because people get so attached to 100% of something, right? But if you can bring something to me that's going to take me to the next level, that's proven that work, what we talking about?
And that's
10%, 15?
Yeah,
Oh,
and that's why it's always good to know where you want to be, right? Like if I can't go from point A to point B without me knowing what point B is. To be honest with you,
honestly, I don't want to carry the burden by myself.
Yeah.
I want someone to help me come in and be like, all right, I got the operation side, or I could do the marketing side.
Yeah.
I agree.
Feed you clients, right? That's affiliate deals. Those are partnerships.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, that's how it ultimately, that's how it worked. And so we hope that you got value out of this.
Yes.
Broke it down. We're going to do a part 2 to go into a real life examples of, good, bad, and ugly on partnerships and just how they look on different levels next week.
Yeah.
But hopefully this was valuable and you guys learned a lot. If you got any questions, hit us up in the comments.
That's right.
Next week, we're going to dive into part 2 of the partnership. And we're going to make sure that we give you the other side to partnerships on the all level. We just broke down the entity structures and layering. So hopefully the tax picture and all that stuff looks good. So Vera, close us out on a good word of encouragement.
All right. Self-assess.
Right.
That's all I got. It's like, no, okay. So we just wrapped up episode 5 of Minding Your Biz podcast. We are so excited. We just talked about, like he said, partnerships. This is the partnership happening in real time as you're going through the journey with us, right? And so just closing the buttoning up what we talked about earlier about self-assessing. We self-assessed. We came in as a partnership because we knew what we had and we knew what we could bring together. So self-assessing and partnerships work, right? If everyone is doing the work and knowing where they can start and where we could go.
Everybody got skin in the game.
Everyone has skin in the game. And so we are super excited about this journey and we hope you are too. So tap into us. Minding Your Biz.
Yeah.
We can help you keep your mind on your biz.
That's right. Make sure you click the subscribe button, like, share, comment, be selfish, share the information, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's what helps us help you. And leave what you want to know or what you want to talk about or what you want to hear in the comments so we can better serve you.
All that what he said.
We out.
Yes. Coming in hot.
Listen, I'm giving you the ability to get inside my head on what I do for clients day in, day out. This month, I'm doing the Make More, Pay Less challenge. This is where I'm going to teach you how to be an effective CEO, how to make boss decisions, how you can actually grow your company, scale it, while paying the government less money, right? Why would I make this so much money just to give it all away to the government? How to leave a legacy. Make sure you're managing your proper businesses. You want to make sure you're in the room for the Make More, Pay Less challenge to grow, scale, and change your business for the better.